Welcome, everybody, to Freelance Writing Direct. I'm your host, Estelle Erasmus, the author of Writing That Gets Noticed, Find Your Voice, Become a Better Storyteller, Get Published, which was named by Poets and Writers a best book for writers. Every week, I speak with novelists, with authors, with writers of every niche to talk about their tips, their tricks, their strategies, and how the sauce is made, including creative advice. I'll talk about essays and articles and share my own experience in 3 decades of publishing. So join me every week and grow your business and build your craft with Freelance Writing Direct. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. And follow along on Substack, where I share special clips for subscribers only at estelleserasmus.substack.com. Hi, I'm Estelle Erasmus, writer, NYU professor, and host of Freelance Writing Direct. I'm so excited to share that I recently gave a TEDx talk called How to Get Noticed in Your Writing and Beyond, where I share the hard-won lessons I've taught at NYU and learned as editor-in-chief of multiple national magazines about how to make your message stand out no matter the medium. But I also get personal in my talk. I open with a funny story from my past involving Thomas the Tank Engine, one that proves it's not about saying more, but about saying what matters. And I reveal a vulnerable chapter of my life that taught me just how powerful it is to be truly heard. You can watch it on YouTube. There's a link in the show notes. And you can also look up Estelle Erasmus on YouTube. If it resonates, I'd love for you to leave a comment on the TED site. It means so much to me to hear the messages that stick with you from my talk. Thank you. Hi, this is a continuation of the little short that I made about how to mine your life for essay ideas. I also wanted to talk to you about finding ideas for a TEDx talk. And the whole idea behind that is that you don't want something that is motivational, that's like, oh, this is a life-changing thing, like kind of like you'd be up there preaching. It's really ideas that change lives, but it's not just, this is this crazy thing that happened to me, and here's how I dealt with it, and this is how it changed me. It really has to be applicable for everybody. And it can't just be like a motivational, inspirational talk. Your talk can have an element of inspiration. That's great. So, how do you find these ideas? It's good to pick something like my TEDx talk, which came out recently, is how to get noticed in your writing and beyond. And so it's part of my message with what I do, with everything that I do in my teaching and in my book, Writing That Gets Noticed. And so I kind of expanded my idea to say that how you get noticed no matter the medium. But how did I frame my talk, right? So I came up with the idea that that's the premise of it. Like there are ways to get noticed, and you should get noticed, because I then supported it with research, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So it's coming up with the idea that, and it could be an idea that people have talked about, but you're talking about it from a different angle. And so titles are important too. And I'm sort of the title queen. So I just basically thought that this title works. The how-to title is really effective because everyone wants to know how to do something. So how-tos work, something dramatic, something emotional. The active verbs always work really well in titles. And then the writing of it, you can't just say, this is what I think you should do, because it's about storytelling. A TEDx talk is about telling a story and getting the audience's interest based on telling the story. Now, there could be some learning, there could be some teaching, but you have to open it in a way that's going to get you noticed and get attention. And so the way I did it was I kind of excavated my writing from the past to see if there was a story that I could use. And I had written about 10 years ago a story for the New York Times, the Metropolitan Life section, which was the first time I ended up writing for the Times. And I later wrote a lot for Well. So I wrote about a situation that I had when I was working in promotions in the city in the early 1990s. And it was framed around the famous character of Thomas the Tank Engine. And so I used that as the starting point of my story. And then I led into the premise about it's important to get noticed by starting in the action. And I gave an example, and you have to watch it, but it's kind of funny and shocking and interesting about how that all tied in with this Thomas the Tank Engine that I was responsible for. And then I get into the part about here's my idea. We must approach everything we do like an editor wielding a red pen. And I talk about what to do with that. And then I support what I'm saying by using and citing research that shows that our attention spans are shrinking and that people will bounce who are reading online. And so I found these little nuggets of information and research to support what I was saying. And the idea is, how to get noticed in your writing and beyond. And it's no matter the medium. So it's emails, it's social media posts, it's conversations, it's writing. So it's beyond writing. And then I talked about the three tenets of teaching that ties in with this. And so I talk about starting in the action and specificity, the importance of being very specific with your words. And then my idea that I use of circling back to something mentioned at the beginning to build resonance. And then after I gave these examples, and I also used examples from other people to support what I'm saying, it kind of elevates the story a little bit more because I share a vulnerable moment from my own life, not from the beginning of the piece, but something that's much more current and tied in with my mothering and tied in with an invisible disability and also connected to the idea of listening and hearing messages. And then I circle back at the end by pulling something in from the beginning of my talk into the end. And then I have a call to action. I tell the audience what I would like them to do and what they should do and how they should do it in a very supportive way because this is going to help them. And so my last words are, and this is how you'll get your writing, your stories, and yourself noticed. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the other elements of actually doing, putting it together, submitting, videotaping, and all that in other episodes. So stay tuned. Make sure to watch my TEDx talk. Please leave a comment if it resonates and tell me what resonated for you. And let me know what works and what you're looking to learn more about. Thank you. Follow me at EstelleSErasmus.com on my website and on social media, which is Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Estelle S. Erasmus. And we're now on YouTube for Freelance Writing Direct. follow along, and soon everyone will be reading what you're writing.